Alright, so here we have a really rare Misfits original pressing, 3 Hits from Hell, with the super cool original Fiend Club insert. And we also have a boatload of Haunted Hulks, a fleet of Haunted Hulks. Yes, those are original Misfits singles, but that has nothing to do with anything.
Beautiful sunny day here in New Jersey, much as it always is. Anytime we come to Newark, I swear it's just cloudy. I don't think I've ever seen sun in Newark. Hold on. I hit too many. A lot of fog here. A lot of fog. This is the Verrazano Bridge, and there is so much fog. You can't even see. Can't see Bay, can't see the city.
My mom would be having so much anxiety right now.
She would hate everything about this.
She'd be in the back seat hiding.
It looks like that movie The Mist up here.
Alright, so I'm here with my buddy Kenny, who is a monster collector and a vinyl collector. And just in the time I've spent here, it's been mind-blowingly cool. There's dogs, which we love. And we decided we're going to talk about the monsters on this episode, though. We're going to show you some of the monster stuff, close up and everything. You'll get to see that. But what got you into monsters? How did you become a monster kid?
Well, it started when I was about 5, I guess. That was when the Remco Monster toys were out, and my cousin Mike, who always was a monster kid, he had like a bunch of the 10-inch ones, and I thought they were the coolest. And then I collected the little guys, and then my dad always had this one book that's right over there, horror movies it's called, and I would pull that off the shelf all the time as a kid, and I would just look through the pictures, and you know, from there I just started watching the movies whenever they'd be on TV, anything like that. And you know, I was always just picking up different things as I got older, comic books, toys, you know. And then I started really focusing on monsters maybe like 10 years ago, where I was just, you know, that was like, I narrowed it down. And now this is what I collect: monsters, records. That's it.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah, and other stuff, but you know.
You collect a lot of things.
Yes.
Your tastes are varied, but the monster stuff is so specific. Like, it's my favorite stuff too.
Yeah.
And just looking at your collection, it's like so well curated. Who's your favorite monster?
Oh, Frankenstein. Yeah, for sure, Frank.
I knew you were gonna
yeah.
say that because
yeah,
you've got
Frankenstein's
so
monster. I don't want to get like blown up. Frankenstein's monster, guys.
So in some of the pieces that you have here, what's some of the stuff that stands out to you as some of your favorites that you have? In your collection?
Of course, I mean the Glenn Strange Halloween bucket. That's from the '60s. You know, the Sokies. I love those. I mean, also the monsters. You know, the Dracula's Dragster, the Mummy's Chariot. You know, Godzilla's, what's his vehicle called? I can't remember. Godzilla's go-kart, Frankenstein's flivver. I love those. Those are all models from the 1960s that Aurora made. And, you know, I love it all, honestly. Like, if I bring something into my house, it's for a reason. I don't ever sell anything. If I get something, it's for me and for my kids. If they want it, when I'm no longer here, they can do whatever they want with it once I'm gone. But, yeah. You know, and of course the Remcos, I have all my Remcos down there, the play set, which I did not have as a kid. And, you know, I love it all. The spoons, the ice cream spoons, which are kind of small for eating ice cream, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know, it's funny.
They don't hold much volume.
When you look at them, it's like, but I guess for a little kid.
Yeah, and in the 60s, they ate less.
Yeah,
they weren't such gluttons.
Back
Yeah, they weren't such gluttons back then. But yeah, I mean, I honestly love it all. Everything. All the stuff up there, you know. It's a big passion of mine.
Now, one thing we were talking about, too, which I thought was pretty cool, is, and I find a lot of monster kids have a similar story where these things tend to find you.
Oh, yeah. Without
a
doubt.
And
without a doubt.
From looking at your collection and talking to you about the stories, we've spent hours talking about monsters.
Yeah, we're hoarse. Our voices aren't usually like this.
And it's like, you, like a lot of other monster kids, the stuff that you acquired found its way to you through all kinds of cool
ways.
in
so many ways. Just random estate sale finds, Friends of mine who see things out there and inform me about them. You know, we'll go to different people's houses, you know, who are ready to sell their stuff. Just so many different ways. Of course, eBay too, and some other random apps that sell stuff. I've had some luck on, you know, acquiring a few different things. So it's just, it comes from all over, and you know, it's just, I love the hunt, of course, like most people do. You know, the hunt is a lot of fun, but it's, you know.
And the story, that's what I like.
The story, yes. Everything I own has a story. I could talk for hours and hours and hours.
It's great, you know, that you have all these stories behind each piece. You know, like, okay, I got this.
Exactly, yeah. What time it was. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything. I will, because it's just, it's such a big thing for me, you know. It's, I don't know. In that era, 1960s, they were just coming up with whatever designs, whatever versions of monsters they wanted to put out there. They were, a lot of it was licensed, but Universal didn't seem to really hold it too closely. They were just like, yeah, put it out. Put it out. Now it's so strict, like with the way things look. It's so like just, I don't know, sterile. Like there's, you know, back then it was, the artwork was just out of left field, a lot of it, you know? Like my garbage can over there, if you want to show that, like that's one of the coolest versions of Frankenstein I've ever seen. Like it's just so unique, you know? It even looks like, what's he doing with his thumb and forefinger there? Is he like giving himself a little tweak? Like what's he doing? And that's a garbage can, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just why I love it. It's just,
and the creativity of the products too,
yes.
like, you know, a trash can, or like, you know, the elephant in the room, of course, the haunted Hulks. I mean, this is like, you know, the creativity of monster toys back then. You know, now it's the same products over and over. Okay, there's the action figures.
This height or that height. Yeah. It's just like they're not coming up with any ideas that are like really like cool,
fresh or
you
off
know,
the wall.
like water guns with the Frankenstein, which I don't have personally. I've seen one, an AHI Frankenstein water gun, it's really cool.
Oh yeah.
But amazing. Like things like that, when there's a creature one, like, oh my god, like
perfect.
It's just such a wacky way to present a monster. Like, they were like people's like friends. Like, you know, they weren't supposed to be threatening. It was like, these characters are like, you know, like almost like Sesame Street, you know, back then. You know, so. And
the creativity of the toys too, even the non-universal stuff. You know, things like this Sucker Man right here it's like super creative monsters.
Yes.
You know, and
without a doubt, I loved that when I was a kid. We'd throw it all over the place, you know, and it was, you know, always just nothing like that ever came out again that I could think of. You know what I mean?
And then, of course, the Gregories.
Which were... Now, I never had one of those as a kid, but my cousin Mike did, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, it was... And, of course, back then, the blood would work when you would pump it. Now, the blood inside the chest is all dried out, and every example you could find of that toy. But, you know, they were just coming up with... Oh, and he had an original Clash of the Titans Kraken. Oh, wow. And he still has it. You know, maybe Mike, you could visit him one of these days. But yeah, he still has his original Kraken. He's got just all the stuff from when he was a kid. Fortunately, he saved it. He kept, you know, he would buy stuff too, like later on at garage sales and different stuff like that. My uncle actually has a boxed Shogun Godzilla that he got at a yard sale in the 90s for like $5.
Wow.
And he still got, crazy. Yeah, so, you know, it's in my family. You know, it's in the blood. So
with one thing I noticed too with a lot of Monster Kids is that there's a connection between Halloween.
Oh yeah,
you're a big
definitely.
Halloween fan.
Huge, always.
Did you ever dress up as a monster?
Or, yeah, I mean, like I used to do this skeleton costume a lot, especially once I got into the time when I could like do it myself, like, you know, put a costume together. I had a skeleton mask that I would, you know, black out my eyes, put the mask over, and put like a hood on. At the time, I don't remember as a little kid ever having like a specific like licensed monster costume though. I think I had a Boba Fett costume, kindergarten. I had He-Man costume in first grade.
That's cool.
Second grade, I don't know. And before that, it was more stuff my mom dressed me as Charlie Brown one year.
So you're a Ben Cooper kid.
Yes.
For
Oh,
sure.
without a doubt. I have a lot of pictures. Oh, Batman I was when I was like 2. I have pictures of that. Spider-Man a little later on, like maybe 4. I remember like every Halloween, so those are the days,
That's awesome.
I still remember the smell of the masks and the feel of it biting into your lip.
Oh, for sure.
Jutting into your lip.
Not being able to breathe. with
Yes.
the
And we had one year my brother was Spider-Man and I was Batman, or it could have been vice versa. But they were poncho costumes rather than the suit, the play
Oh,
suit.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a pullover and it had a hood. Crazy, Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't the most popular version. But...
So what is something that you're looking for now? What are some of the monster things that you want to add to your collection?
Oh, I would love Mark's Mechanical Frankenstein. I mean that, I know you got one, right? You got one not that long ago.
Yeah.
Was it boxed?
No.
Oh, I would
But it
love
works.
a boxed example.
But
yeah.
he works.
Yeah,
He still
that's great.
picks up the thing, and that was from it being in the Monsters episode. That
Yes,
was like a great
yes,
piece,
yeah. It was
'cause-
the baby. They thought he was
son.
Herman's baby. Yeah, so funny. One memory I have actually of a Mark's product. My grandfather held on to my uncle's Mark's. It wasn't a gorilla. It was like a white. I guess. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was almost like an abominable
Yeti?
snowman or a Yeti, yeah. And he had that in the box. And once in a while, he would break that out. Like, if we'd be over there for like Thanksgiving,
Sure.
my grandfather would take it out and we weren't really allowed to touch it. And if my uncle was there, it was his childhood toy, and my cousin Mike actually is in possession of that right now. He has it. He would, turn it on and it would walk across the table and
That's awesome.
I think, were there sparks maybe? I don't know. It was a great toy. It was much cooler than the toys, that were around, little plastic figures or whatever,
Yeah,
when
Mark's
we were
made some
growing up.
phenomenal
But yeah.
stuff.
But yeah, that's one thing that I would really love to get is the Mark's Mechanical Frankenstein, or even the wind-up one.
Oh yeah.
I would love to add
That one's
that.
great, too.
Yeah, I mean, one day maybe it'll show up somehow. But,
It'll happen. I think you're willing this stuff. I mean, just to have acquired the collection you did, curated this collection.
Yeah.
And the way that you did it, where every little piece sort of
Yeah, it was
found its
like one
way
by
to
one.
is
Yeah.
It's
And
extremely impressive.
I know,
and it's
it's-
fantastic stuff.
a lot of it was luck too. A lot of luck, weird luck, like finding stuff at an estate
Well, I
sale.
think you're in a
buried.
good area too. I mean, even though we're in an undisclosed location, you aren't super far from
Yes.
some of the major factories that
Sure.
were here at the
Yes,
time.
which is, I love the history too. The history of where this stuff came from originally, the artists behind it, the people who designed the sculpts of different things, just
Sure.
like real, minutia, but it's cool. Like, it's just, you could go on and on about it. It's not, it'll never end. Hopefully someday a real, like, really full deep dive book will come out. I mean, there are some books, but like, really focusing in more on that like artwork of that, the monster craze, of the early 1960s. So yeah, it's
unfortunate that monsters were looked at the way they were, because a lot of that information has been lost to time.
Yes,
Thankfully,
yes.
some people did archive things, and there are people who did save, paperwork and stuff. But even now,
I know,
there's Ben Cooper costumes that come out of the woodwork that nobody's ever seen before.
Wow, yeah.
And then there's things like potential prototypes that nobody's ever seen before,
Yes,
and
yeah.
all these different things where people didn't save this stuff.
Yeah,
and
there's
so now it's
less
but that makes
documentation.
it fun.
It's crazy, yeah.
That makes it fun.
Like
It
a
makes
lot of
it
stuff
adventure.
that people collect now that are more modern, everything is documented. There's so
And
much
everything is
information.
saved in the package.
And yes, and that's why it'll never really be truly rare.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be desirable, but yeah, it may not, it's not truly rare.
Yeah.
They were mass produced and saved.
I think
Saved so many people. Saved
even
it.
now, everybody saves everything in packaging.
Yes.
They get it, they hang it on the wall or whatever, but it stays in the
Yes.
package. It's not like when we were kids.
Yes,
You rip it open.
set it free and use it, play with it, abuse it, and
It really is amazing that any of that stuff from back then survived. I've heard stories from all kinds of collectors where it's like, yeah, I used to have my Frankenstein, I know a guy who put firecrackers on the back of his Mark's Frankenstein and blew him up.
Yeah.
It's like
well, I honestly did that with my entire G.I. Joe and Star Wars collection in the 80s. Once I was old enough to know how to use fireworks, 11, 12 years old, that's what we would do. All the vehicles, take them out in the street, we blew up everything. So that's for me why I don't have, the only G.I. Joe thing that I have, you'll see it somewhere on that table, are the legs from Tomax or Zaymot, the twins. I don't know if you G.I. Joe guy. But I have that and I have the torso. Other than that, no other G.I. Joe at all. Yeah.
That's amazing.
They're all gone, blown up. Yeah, blown up. Yeah.
So you collect records and Misfit stuff. That's another thing that ties into Monster.
Huge passion, lifelong passion.
I find that like Monster collectors either really enjoy, they love Kiss or the Misfits.
Yeah, and I like Kiss.
Connection there between those two.
I can't say I'm a huge Kiss fan, but there are eras that I loved.
Sure.
And the merchandising of the late '70s was just amazing.
Yeah.
Packaging, everything. That was kind of like the Monster craze in itself, where they were like, all right, let's make a radio, let's make bubblegum cards, let's make whatever has nothing to do with rock music, we're going to make it, and it worked for them. The Dolls, the Migos, everything.
Yeah.
I love it. They had a little more of a focused branding, though, where the logos were always very similar. I think their license was very, controlled, but I don't know. Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about the Misfits, too.
Sure.
What got you into
the Misfits?
Where's that come from?
All right, well, I was a skateboarder as a kid, 11, 12 years old. There was Thrasher magazine, which is still in production. It's the only skateboard magazine that still actually produces a magazine you can hold in your hands. And as a young kid, we started buying magazines. And one issue that I got to see was the issue with Glenn Danzig on the cover. And what was odd at the time, they always had a skateboarder on the cover. That was the first issue where there's just this dude on the cover. I'm like, who is this guy? And I start looking at the pictures and I see that he's got toys and stuff like that. And I was intrigued and I started learning about the band just through reading that article. And then they started to get bigger because Metallica covered a couple of their songs. So the music became accessible. It really wasn't that accessible at the time. It was very hard to get their stuff. And then they reissued Walk Among Us around the time, a little bit after Metallica covered their song. And that Walk Among Us reissue was what really got me, And from there, I started buying bootlegs. I bought a lot of bootlegs back then. And, tried to collect the records. The original records were already high-priced. Bleecker Bob's would have them on the wall.
I remember Bleecker Bob's used to have the 3 hits poster.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I would go in there, I would ask him, will you sell me that? Will you sell me that? No. Get out of here, kid.
And I think that may glow under blacklight also.
Yeah, I got to check that.
Yeah, you should. And that from there, I got into so many other types of music, branched off, but I always would come back to the Misfits. And I was at the signing they had at Generation Records in '96 when the box set came out, and I got to meet most of the guys except for Danzig, of course, and a couple other guys weren't there, like Googie, he wasn't there, but most Robo wasn't there, but a lot of the other Joey Image wasn't there, but it was a lot of the guys, original guys who you all know, and And then the reunion, which I wasn't that much of a fan of. I appreciated it, but the real stuff for me is the late '70s Misfits at this point, where that just hits the hardest for them. The stuff with Bobby Steele, I mean, that's just really so
For sure.
Yeah, really, it's the shit.
So if you want to learn more about Kenny and his record collection, we're going to put the link down there below to his YouTube channel where you can learn all about records and maybe some Monster stuff and some vinyl stuff and everything else. And go subscribe to his channel. And before we let you go, who is your favorite Frankenstein? Who portrayed Frankenstein to you?
Karloff, yeah.
Karloff?
Yeah, I gotta
you
say.
said you love the
yeah.
strange buck.
I know
So
the strange buck is great.
you know,
It's amazing. But
mine's
yeah,
strange is no slouch.
yeah, no, I'm always Karloff, and I'm a Union person. You know, Boris Karloff was number 9, I think, in SAG, the Screen Actors Guild. He helped start the Screen Actors Guild because when they were filming Frankenstein, they made Karloff carry him up a hill. And he blew out his back. Like, they were, like, really kind of driving him hard. And he got hurt. So this event actually snowballed. And, like, he started to, like, get active with other actors and say, listen, we have to get together and kind of unionize. And that way we won't be, like, kind of abused. Because the makeup they were using on him was quite dangerous. Like a lot of people back then, when makeup was first being used, there would be really terrible side effects, which even the Wizard of Oz, all those characters, they all had like lifelong like problems because of what they went through. So yeah, that was, Karloff. He's, awesome.
So Karloff
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Is that the remake?
Yeah, it's the new
Wow.
one. But I don't know if you've seen how it looks.
I have one. I just didn't open it. Oh wow,
that looks
yeah.
great.
And then it's got different modes. Hold on. Where's the flashing mode? There it is.
Oh,
so
wow.
like at
Yeah.
night, if you like turn off all the lights down here and like just have the black light on,
Yeah.
it looks really, really cool. Like it
Yeah.
illuminates, just the
looks
right.
great.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Nah, that's great.
Enjoy it, and like if we find things that the other guy likes, or we try to, hook
I
each
try to
other
do
up.
that too when I find.
Just like the caretaker of this crap. I wish this
That's
worked.
what we all are.
I wish this worked. I can't get it to
awesome.
work. It winds and
The
then...
box is great though.
Yeah, I know. It's really cool.
And this right here is an absolutely unbelievable piece. An original Ed Wood Plan 9 from Outer Space press book from 1959. Signed by the legend herself, Vampira. This is absolutely incredible and one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time.
Professor. So up here it's got square root of blah, 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 and then all this different stuff. And then I've never opened these other guys fully, but all the parachutes are different. So like
so
they're,
cool.
you would think that they would have just like put out a generic parachute for all of them.
Yeah.
Some of the parafuls are tough to find though.
Yeah.
There's some that are a lot tougher than others for some reason. They must have short packed some of these or something.
Yeah.
'cause
And
there's-
when do you think they're from? The 80s? Or
No, 70s.
70s?
Yeah.
They just remind me of something you would get like from the Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
Remember how the Ice Cream
Yeah.
Man would have like random, like,
toys.
silly. Okay.
Yeah, that is wild, man.
Yeah, this is
Pretty crazy, right?
it could be a prototype.
Wigglies. See the monster magnet? That's not like a really obscure thing, but it's just cool. I found that in a estate sale too.
Yeah, it's a cool piece
Yeah,
though.
it was like $2. I'll take it.
That one's awesome.
Pretty sick. I have two
Yeah.
of them. The Grandpa Munster's head is on top of another one of those pumpkins.
That's funny.
And they flash intermittently.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, during Halloween we set them up in the living room, and they look great.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they look so cool.
Yeah, it's early too because of the diamond dies.
Yeah, diamond eyes. Yeah, it's probably what, mid-60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they work fine. The electrical is fine in them.
Well, that was the thing back then. They built stuff to last back then.
Yes.
And it's not like today where you buy one of them today from like Michael's or something, it'd be broke in 2 months.
Yes, terrible. So that book, you see that horror movies book?
Yeah.
That was what really got me focusing on monster movies as a kid. There's a lot of great pictures in there and my dad had that book and it was on the bookcase and I would always pull it out as a little kid and like look at it. Just there's so many great images in that. It's just insane.
Was your dad into monsters or?
Yeah, like, but not so much in a collecting way.
Okay. Just like movies.
Yeah, he was into them. Like he took me to go see like, you know, Friday the 13th movies when I was a little kid, and yeah, he was into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Gregory's. You rarely see two Gregory's in the same place, right?
Yeah.
No.
And you rarely see two Big Franks in the same place.
Definitely not.
So the one on the right, I got through my friend, like, and it was in pieces, and I had to like figure it out and put it back together.
Yes. You were a cutie
Yep,
pie.
you made a friend.
Sweetheart.
He is a good boy. He's 99.9% the best dog, but then when he's at the window
Oh yeah.
and he sees other, or the cats, my neighbor, you know, feeds the cats. And when one of the cats comes in front of the window, forget about it.
Oh, forget it.
But other than that,
We're collecting
this
monsters
is
that far back.
my dad
From the
was in
70s.
the baseball card collecting game early. Like he started in I don't know, 73, and he was going on like baseball card shows back then. And like as a little kid, he would take me with him, you know.
Yep.
And like I never really collected baseball cards like that, so I would always try to find like the Star Wars cards and all that other the monster cards. Mad scientists, but they're beat. The packaging's really beat, and this one doesn't even have the slime, but this guy has everything, and it's all perfect condition.
Wow.
And he puts out zines all about like Mad Scientist Lab. He's
cool.
he's like, you know, he's obsessed with it.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, love it.
All right, so here we have a really rare Misfits original pressing, 3 Hits from Hell, with the super cool original Fiend Club insert. And we also have a boatload of Haunted Hulks, a fleet of Haunted Hulks. Yes, those are original Misfits singles, but that has nothing to do with anything. So, you know, I think that's good. And everybody's happy, everybody's psyched. I'm glad that I had this because this was something you were missing, and I'm clearly missing this. So, but now you've opened up a door where I'm gonna have to buy all the MPC pop tops. So now, back to being broke again. But cool stuff. Cool stuff. And these Iggly Wigglies. This is another thing. I got to go track down the rest of these. I really want these. I think these are fantastic. These are fantastic.